Yeah, so when your so yeah, so everything else apart from the house is basically what we've done. You know, the outhouses, the compost toilets, the children's area, tree house.
Yeah, and lots of, and it's a whole world for kids also, because you have done many nice things for children.
Yeah, coming along. I like try to add something new. I mean, my thing's been the land. You know, the land was the land hadn't been.
They didn't do anything. The owners.
They cleared the little part at the front. They got
Okay.
the guy to come and do that and put weed killer on every year, and that was it. But we started when we first came. We started growing things further up, and then when the first people who came here, apart from us, you know, we had our neighbours now, Miguel and Tiffy. They came. Cornelia. Yeah, they came, we'd been here about a year, and they said, can we come? We haven't got much money, we can pay something, but we can help. It seemed like a strange idea at the time, because, you know, our daughter was born at about the same time, and we realised actually we could do with a bit of help, you know. And it was Miguel who started the garden, and they just did this little patch in front here, and then when, so we sort of all joined in then, and a couple of years later I dug the shapes and made the beds higher and made the garden, just made it bigger, I suppose. It's gone through different stages, and we've been here 9 years now, and it's gone through many different people occupying different houses, different arrangements.
Coming
you
with
know.
different ideas, new ideas.
Yeah. I mean, we went through a spell.
We're just going to say hi for a minute to Nikki and Daphne, and I'll ask her something. Guys insisting on to go see them.
Nikki and Alex back?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go and see them.
She's at their place, so.
Yeah.
So the like heaviest months would be what, like January and February, or
every time, any time from October through till then spring. We usually have courses, a couple of courses in the spring. So no, winters are always busy. I mean, whether it's digging, preparing the hillsides, it's not just down here. We're preparing for trees, mulching, cutting, pruning. I don't know. There's no end.
Sure.
You know, when you think there's not, when you think the basic stuff, that there's always extra stuff. You know, things that need
and surprises.
Maintenance, surprises. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I think you, over the years you learn the rhythms of the place. You learn that whatever in certain months there's certain activities, and it's this is something that. Over the years, you build up the infrastructure and all these things, I suppose, but you also learn how to make the systems work more efficiently, and it takes a long time when you're not familiar with this sort of thing. You know, you see the families down the valley, the Portuguese who run the farms there, and they make it seem so easy. You know, it's all the cycle. You know, they know what they're doing every time. And the other thing I like about using trees is that even though you're doing things by a cycle, and you know what's coming up in the next month is going to be these works and that works. What I like about the tree system is that it's also developing every year. So it's not like you're doing the routine, the same farming thing, okay, and you know, December you plant your potatoes and your favas, and you know, and you dig up. It's all a creative development. So.
And also, I guess with the weather changes, there will be also like some routines that will be broken.
Yeah, you get a flood, and you got other things happening. Yeah, but I like the idea that nothing will ever be the same. So it's not a circle; it's a spiral. Yeah. The solar panels pump whenever the sun shines. Goes up to the reservoir up there, comes down for the garden, for the trees, for the houses, for showers, drinking. it's been analysed, and how do you say, the chemical analysis is really
Good.
Really, all the minerals are within the ideal range. No harmful bacteria, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's a...
Do you want to go for a walk?
Yeah.
Up the hills. Yeah. I think we'd been here about 2 years before we started having woofers.
Okay, 2 years alone, so just Chris and you.
No, there was two. Then Miguel and Tiffy, a neighbour.
Okay.
Then her brother Arturo. They were here for a year and a half, I think. Then they found their own place. And yeah, then we started getting woofers occasionally. I remember Miguel first asked me what I wanted to do, and I quote this a lot. Just what came into my head. I said, "Well, I want to bring the land to life," and I think it's just a reflection of that. This is what I'm about. I just want to. I don't see anything more important in the garden as I do on the hills up there. It's to me it's all a system, and then I'd like to think that every part of the land has its own
Importance.
its own life, its own meaning.
So, and what were you doing in England before you came here?
Wales.
Wales.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
I've never been able to do a career, working for 4 people.
Yeah.
So that didn't last long for me. I mean, most of my life until I was a bit lost in what I wanted to do. I'd go a bit of travelling, a bit of cycling here and there, just do some work to anything I could find to. I had it was only when I got here, I worked at 50 years to find something I actually enjoyed doing or realised that this is what I wanted to do. It's slowly paying back. We get people come to the courses, people enjoy coming here because they like the feel of the place, and we try to make it beautiful. It's not just being productive, it's my whole way of thinking, really. It's not just for people coming here. The whole motivation is for a place. It's not just to be a farmer. It's not just to make food. Yeah. It's to make a place to live, where children can grow up and where they can be inspired, and somewhere that they'll want to come back to and have their children. It's not somewhere that you just spend your days digging in the field and then so. Yeah, I think it's true. If anybody does something which they really want to do and really enjoy doing and persevere with it, then it will work. One way or another, it'll work. You know. So I can see only good things in the next 20 years as the people slowly buying the old ruins.
But with a whole project behind it, philosophy, so that's nice.
In general, I mean, nearly everybody so far has moved in here has been practical people. Yeah. And that goes back to even when the first Germans, the first non-Portuguese came in the 80s, the sort of alternative Germans, if you like, but people coming in, they're not just interested in making a second home with a swimming pool. They want to come and and actually participate.
Really build something, and also all this contact with nature, and maybe finding themselves or their freedom or health or so many things.
Connection, that's a big word. So I think that without realizing it, people lose the connection. But the connection is what keeps us. Yes. I mean, everybody learns in a different way, and I don't think it's not. Permaculture. I mean, that's something I used to read about, and they used to send me asleep. And it's only when you go to a place and you start working with the place, then you read about it and say, "Oh, that's a good idea." You think of something it's there, but you just it's almost like being reminded of it, even though you knew that already, but you just been. That's how it seems to be. Everything seems like common sense, but you don't necessarily think of it at all. at the start. So every time we do something, like the irrigation ponds and food forests, we've just done about a month or two ago. It seemed like an obvious idea once we've done it, and then So it's like that every year. There's always things that I'm doing that I don't really understand why I haven't thought of earlier. I just want to get to the point where when I'm too old to do all the hard work, then it's already there, and they're just this little collecting the fruits and nuts and pruning the trees and all that. And I don't think it will happen again. And I think the whole world is changing in different ways. That a generation ago, the people left the land, and now people are coming back. And what I see is, if I have got a role, is to set the place up for the future, so that not necessarily my daughter, but her children then, will have a place where it's a very rich, productive place, which is also a beautiful place to live. Find some land with water and start growing some food, and take it from there. At least in some parts of Portugal, you can buy a very small piece of land for very little, and with a ruin on or something, or without a ruin, and put a caravan on it and start digging the land and looking after your place. And I don't know, it's maybe just taking that step, and there's always so many mistakes to make because people aren't familiar. I mean, I wasn't. I had very limited. I'd studied ecology, but that was nothing I ever did with my life, So I came I came without really any knowledge. So if you're prepared to live very simply, and you've got a little bit on the side, and to just get by and survive, then it's like a little thing which can grow. It's not impossible, but it's easy to say, because without familiarity with things, when you lived in the city all your life with a certain lifestyle, and that it's quite weird. The transition it might seem quite natural for me now because I've lived here a few years, but it can be quite scary,
And why do you think that Portugal is such a good option? Because it seems to be a good option for many people, and many people are gathering here and arriving in different parts of the country. That's really interesting.
I think the people are very welcoming. I think the whole system is quite relaxed. It doesn't get stressed about people and what they're doing so much. Very tolerant, and maybe I can think of if we did this sort of thing in Wales, where I was, you get nothing but hassle from somebody will make it their business to give you problems,
Switzerland too.
Yeah. So I just think, when we first came here, Chris asked me where would I think of going, and I said I'd cycled through most of Europe, but Portugal is where I felt most comfortable, and if you go to Spain, you don't have these sort of habitats. They got plenty of wild places, I know, but on the West Algarve here, and in central Portugal, there's still lots of small holdings doing what they were doing for generations before. It's not industrial agriculture, and I guess the geography is Portugal is pretty hilly, and it's it's a different type of habitats. Yeah. We don't realise that this connection is actually what's our root, at the root of our whole being, you know. But we don't realise that, you know. It's just the way we are, and it's so for that reason it's very easy to lose it.